and this would not deter us. In other parts of Nigeria, there's curfew as well. We have the curfew from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we can be out from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and other times we have to be indoors. For now, before it was 24 hours and 72 hours, and it was relaxed for today for people to go out to stock up. But in other parts of Nigeria, we have young people going out. Right now, there's something happening. There's like a switch because young people are going out. Like the supposed giant of Africa has 4 people going to places, to warehouses where they had palliatives for COVID, taking them out so that they have food to eat on their table. We've been hungry for months, since March when this COVID was declared a pandemic worldwide. So we're just getting to see that, oh, we actually had food all this while, but these politicians.
I'm gonna come to that, that particular development around the use of, the palliatives and what has happened, again, because people have to appreciate that at the end of the day, there's our money. So we'll come to that conversation. Let me push the conversation a little further. So you had young people who were disgruntled about the way security apparatus was operating in Nigeria. They protested against this. The government, you are saying, is trying to sow a division between the people who are on the streets peacefully protesting. Why will a government do this? Why will the Nigerian government be interested in doing this?
So for many years we have always been divided. There was the head of state. At the time we were under military rule, there was the head of state that divided 19 states into 30 states, and then we divided into 30 states. Nigeria has the northern part of Nigeria and the southern part of Nigeria, and then we have the middle belt. So the only way they can make us not work together is seeing what Nigeria is saying. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You broke off a little bit, but we can hear you.
Okay. So that's the best way they can, rule us when we're divided. A house that is divided, of course, would not stand. So that is what they want to use. We've been fighting against this thing. It got to our throats in 2017, and we protested. They told us that they were going to stop it. Then they changed their uniforms. In 2018, they did the same thing. They told us they were going to stop. In 2019, they did the same thing. They told us they were going to stop. So they assumed that they were going to use that same system for us in 2020. And we said, no way. This is October 2020, 6 years after Nigeria's independence from our colonial masters. We would not be enslaved by our own fathers and uncles. No more. We would not have young people being profiled and killed or imprisoned or exchanged for actual criminals. We would not have that. All we want is to live and be in a fabulous Nigeria that is growing, that is developing. So yeah.
Well, I mean that's very interesting to hear. It's almost pulling something out of the books of Machiavelli, right? That you have to divide. You divide the front of what whatever protest or whatever you're dealing with, and then you stand a chance of winning it. But what for me is strange is why a government will think of its citizens as some sort of a foe or enemy that they have to deal with. And I'll come back to you, for more on that. Chichi, you have been paying attention and listening to. You have been listening to, Imoh who's in Nigeria. I know you have a Nigerian descent. You've been here in Ghana for a while. Are there any similarities or differences with what Imoh has described, your own personal experiences in Nigeria? And is there a justification for the young people demanding the things that they demanded during this protest?
Thank you so much, Patrick, for having us. I feel like this conversation is more timely than ever. It's been a very long 2 weeks. I can't imagine what Imoh is going through in Nigeria. I mean, I'm not in Nigeria, but I felt it's really hot, really, really hot here. Part of the things that we tried to do was to see how we can bring people together to have conversations. We even attempted the protest in Ghana, and the story is not likely at all. First of all, I would say that the Nigerian youth have had enough. I mean, I left Nigeria 12 years ago. I have been home multiple times. But, you know, when I go back home, I feel more depressed than when I left, because it doesn't look like we're getting any better. It just feels like we're getting worse and worse and worse. And with what's happening today, it's like a ticking time bomb. If it doesn't happen today, it would definitely happen some point, one way or the other. I mean, it was just a bomb waiting to tick, you know. And I wasn't surprised when it happened. I wasn't surprised one bit. The only thing I was grateful for is being alive to be able to witness a day or a time that the Nigerian youth stood for something. I know the leaders might sound, oh, we haven't accomplished anything. Hell yes, we have. We have. A time in the lifetime of Nigeria, 60 years, the youth had the audacity to stand up for something. Hey, where? They've stopped us, marched on our heads, our intelligence. They've made us look like we are nothing. Anywhere in the world, you call yourself a Nigerian, they turn and look at you with this look on your face. If you like, being Nigeria or not being Nigeria, that stereotype follows you everywhere you go. Did I ask to be born in Nigeria? Is it a crime to be born in Nigeria? But hey, I'm going to wear my green, white, green and be proud of my country. You know why? Because we are very loud, and that's okay. We jaye, and that's okay. We are audacious, and that's okay. We are ambitious, and that's okay. We are the giant of Africa. Others can argue. I don't care. And that's okay. That is why I would still wear my green, white, green with pride. I wouldn't wear my green, white, green with less pride because we have a terrible government. I wouldn't wear my green, white, green with less pride because we have a terrible system. I wouldn't wear my green, white, green with less pride because our people decide to be the cannibals that would eat their own people up. I wouldn't wear my green, white, green with less pride. In fact, I would wear it with more pride because of what we are seeing today. The young people have stood up for what is right. And trust me, whether they think we are joking or not, 2023, they come. It go loud. It go loud. Me, I just they tell my people because the only thing, sorry, I'm using PG, I'm sure they understand. They say what? Uncomfortable truth.
Enjoy.
Yeah, so make we talk like that because sometimes when they talk for English, you be like, say, no, they enter. You know, they like talk with you, want talk with. So make I switch them to PG because really, if you look at what's happening in Nigeria, it's really sad. The fact that the government would wait for 14 days for the young people to protest. No comment. Zero. And what do? They open arms on us. And to
here's the thing.
To add pepper to injury, they say we did lie.
Gigi, I have a question.
Tell me.
This question. So we understand in 17 you protested and 18 you protested. I saw an image on social media, right? Mm-hmm. And for social media, else all of this conversation, I suspect we probably would have struggled to get evidence to be able to talk about some of these things. But I saw an image of a report that was being submitted, I suspect sometime last year, to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammad Buhari. And that, you know, in that image, some of the comments we saw suggested that it was a report about a review of the police brutalities, particularly activities of SARS, that was submitted to what you're suggesting is that that report, nothing happened to it?
Is it the first time? They banned facts in 2017. They banned SARS in 2018. In fact, they banned SARS in 2019, claimed they are working on reforms. This is 2020, for goodness sake. It's like the same speech, they just copy and paste. They know they edit. They know they do anything. They just copy the same thing and paste. They just copy the same thing and paste. No action, nothing. So what do they think we are? Do they think we are just stupid? Do they think the generation of these days we are just dumb? Or maybe because I have dreadlock, are they mad? Maybe. Because it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever to understand that, look, we as people have demanded for certain systems and certain restructuring to be done over time. And it took them this long. And still, they've not even done anything, if you ask me. Look at the lives that were lost. Look at innocent people that were shot. Even when they stood with their flag and sang the national anthem, they were shot to the chest. Who takes a live ammunition to a protest? Who? If not for the lawlessness and lack of accountability, who would do that? Why would you take a live ammunition to a protest? What happened to any other thing? What happened to rubber bullets? Why did they even invent it in the first place? Or they don't watch what their fellow people do abroad. At least even if they've not seen it physically, they don't watch out for film before. That they had to open live ammunition on innocent protesters. How can we make it up? How? Okay, fine, curfews, everybody has gone back inside. How about the parents of those who lost their loved ones? How about the siblings? Has anybody even checked on them? Has the government even done anything whatsoever to ask how they were doing? I, in Ghana, attempted to organize a protest. I keep saying it's attempt because we not succeed. We did all we needed to do. We sent letters to the High Commission. We sent letters to the Ghanaian police who were declined not once, not twice. They had so many reasons why they declined it. Yet, my people still protested. Yet, we did. But still, nothing came out of it. We tried. I got death threats. People were telling me that if I try what? This, I shouldn't even try it. That who asked me to go and do this? They will still protest whatsoever. It's not joke. Anywhere, it's not joke. I was called to come and answer for the fact that I want to be able to do or take action to my fundamental human rights of protest. Why they give us freedom of speech if you know go free speech? So when you think about this thing, it's really very depressing and sad. Really.
Chichi, hold your thoughts for me. Hold your thoughts for me right there. I think you've made a very important point. And I'd like to pick up from Imoh to find out what the status of that is. So you've talked about a lot of people that were shot. We have seen the videos, and if the country is to heal from here, if young people are supposed to get any kind of respite whatsoever, if the country is to work out a solution such that we will not see such developments in the future, it may not be about SARS, it may be about a different phenomenon. If we have to start thinking and forging ahead, somebody must start, becoming accountable to some point. Imoh in Nigeria today has any government official, whether it is the federal government itself or any of the local government officials, has any official openly and publicly acknowledged the responsibility of the state in the shooting of young and armed citizens in Nigeria?
No one has taken responsibility so far. Our governor, who is the governor of Lagos State, has actually been talking like he's a puppet so far. He has denied that anyone died. He has not even accepted the fact that anybody died. He still claims that one person, and then says like a bleak sorry to everybody for the lives that were lost. In an interview, we do not know if it's fake news or real news, to a foreign body, he said he asked us to go on a curfew at 4 p.m. and later some parents called in and he moved it to 9 p.m. and he was expecting that the soldiers, the army, would come out at 10 p.m. Unfortunately, someone else gave an order for them to come out at 7 p.m. So now no one exactly has accepted that he or she was the one who gave the order for those soldiers to go out and shoot. No one is taking responsibility for that, not to talk of taking responsibility for the repairs. So you just have them on Twitter insulting young people who came out to protest peacefully. No one is taking responsibility for the thugs because nobody can pin anyone to the thugs that have been out destroying lives and properties right now in Lagos State. So there is no one who has taken responsibility so far. We have the Anambra State governor, however, who sacked one of the police chiefs and started investigating some of the issues of people who had died so far. We also have the governor of Oyo State, who helped to have some soldiers to protect peaceful protesters. But for Lagos, where I live and where I see with my own eyes, we've not had anyone take responsibility. Yes, our governor has gone to the hospital to visit some people in court. Our governor has claimed to put out people to clean the streets, but when I went out on the streets today, I saw everywhere looking like the end of World War Z. So I wouldn't say anybody has taken responsibility in particular. No one has taken full responsibility. They've taken responsibility and they've cowered.
This seems to be at the heart of the reason why young people are on the streets of Nigeria to begin with. I mean, the sense of accountability of government, not only in this shooting, but we have seen that in different shapes and forms, you know, which is what has led a lot of people, like Chichi said from get-go, to almost lose faith in government as an institution for delivering public goods and services for the ordinary citizens of Nigeria. If this is happening in this current milieu, what is there for young people to look up to? I mean, you're a young person in Nigeria now. This has happened. The government at the local level is not taking responsibility. The federal government clearly is not taking any responsibility for this. What do you do?
Let me just continue with that line of thought. ECOWAS is not taking responsibility either because Nigeria sponsors a lot of things. The African Union is not taking responsibility because Nigeria pays for a lot of things. So everybody is a coward at this moment. Do you understand? So it's now left to us, the millennials and the generation after us, to take responsibility and say, no matter what happens, we're not running away from this country. We're going to stay back and fight no matter what. So that is what we're doing. So right now we have people strategizing and planning for 2023 to see how we can have people run for office. We've had Yaga fight for not too young to run. So we've had some of the age limits reduced, but we still have those old men who were there during the Civil War. I mean, Sigo won having a meeting with Buhari in 2020 for Nigeria that he ruled when he was 32, for Christ's sake. I don't understand how he's still there making decisions. He's supposed to be resting or somewhere, maybe in heaven or somewhere else. But I don't know why he's still there and still sort of in leadership. He's in the Council of Leaders or something like that. So now we're the ones taking responsibility, saying we're not going to leave this country. We're going to stay here and fight. We're going to stay here and correct what you messed up. This is 60 years after taking back our country from the colonial masters. We do not know what negotiation they had in 1960 or whatever happened during the amalgamation in 1963, but we're taking back our country as we know it should be. That's basically what it is right now. We're the ones who are taking responsibility. They are not accountable. We would have to be accountable. And we're working towards that with strategy right now.
It's a very important point you make, because I was going to get to that at some point during this conversation. Because, I mean, if you look at the countries, if you take out the countries in the Maghreb region, I think that in Sub-Saharan Africa, the young people of Nigeria in the last 3 years, I think, have been at the forefront of effectively using, you know, digital tools today to mobilize themselves and drive change, particularly in the area of governance. And I dare say that the young people of Nigeria today somehow, you know, see a different way by which things will happen. The very first example you provide, which is not too young to run, to reduce age limits, I think was one of the things that a lot of people, even in Ghana, you know, sort of look up to. If you check some of the other countries as well, it's become a template that, you know, young people look up to. You've seen examples of strategies like that being deployed in South Africa, for example, when they were talking about fees must fall and, you know, roads must fall. So you see a lot of young people trying to right the wrongs of the previous generation using digital tools, which is helping them mobilize at scale. The question, though, is now that you're strategizing offline to get you know, some young people elected into public office so they can make decisions in the interest of young people. My question then is, how united are these young people themselves? So you don't get people who get elected and then they get complacent, because the system by which they are governed itself primarily is problematic. It's not accountable to ordinary Nigerians. So is there a thinking around that yes, guys, they are in office, they're 60, 70-year-olds, they are retired, they don't do things in our interest. Let's try to see how we can, for example, get in there. So young people, whether PDP, APC, whatever political party, they recognize that it is them versus the 70-year-olds who are in the system? Is there thinking like that for them? How united are they on this?
That is why we're working on changing the idea that is posited that the IPOB or the Arewa or the Afenifere youth are against each other. So we're starting with that because they are trying their best. I spoke to somebody earlier today. I saw her briefly, and she said, "Oh, it's because of these IPOB people." Or they say it's the IPOB people that were all around. I'm like, how do you think the number of thugs that were outside are Igbo boys or any IPOB person? How would you think that way? I was able to change her mind. I think that if all of us work like that to ensure that we bring all of us to be one, we would not have a situation. It may be hard in the first 4 to 8 years, but we'll get to the point of unity where we're fully united. For accountability and coordination, I'll give it to the feminist coalition that led most of the frontline protests in the 2 weeks. You know, there are a bunch of young ladies who pushed for this to happen. They made sure that every fund that was used to treat people, to feed people, to ensure that we had billboards and banners and things go out were used properly. They were used in accountability, and they shared how all these funds were being used. Take, for example, as well, Falz the Bad Guy and Runtown, who came out to push. They came out to lead the protest at first, and the feminist coalition pushed further. So I could see the unity from there. The government only came to disrupt it with the thugs and the ideas of IPOB, Afenifere, Arewa, the Hausa boys, the Hausa thugs. Languages like that don't make sense. And I've seen people push for, we're one Nigeria. So it may not happen immediately, but we're gradually getting there. The more we speak of one Nigeria, the better we become. I mean, like Chineyenwa said, green, white, green, giant of Africa. That's how we still know it. I'd always say so much for giant of Africa. So much for giant of Africa is something that should spur me to make sure that we're actually the giants of Africa in quotes. I mean, it's not the giants of Africa for the sake of giving the AU money so that it doesn't talk in cases like this. The AU has not really said any, has not given any strong statements or held any of our leaders accountable to the young people who died or the young people who have been dying years before now, because the killings did not start today. I would say that the prime of the killings was on that day, 10th of October, 2020. But so far, the killings have always been. They just see you, they profile you, they shoot you, they're not able to give them any money. That's like armed robbery and kidnapping. I mean, they by themselves peddled lies that Tinubu, that the Jagaban had traveled, he had run away, so that we're confused. We all knew that he did not run away. All those things to divide us, and we've been able to stay together. They have been able to make some people afraid, but we're still not afraid because we're going to push. 2023, 4 years after that, which is follow, we would keep moving until Nigeria is better. We're going to stay together. We're going to stay together as we can. For now, we're starting with the little conversations that we have with our friends and then with our communities. I mean, we have the Global Shapers community. We have a coalition of young people as well. We have AYGC that is based in Ghana, where we can talk to people to help us unite Nigerians and unite Africans. We're going to push with the different little groups that we have around for now until
it is refreshing. You know, it is refreshing to hear the note on which you're concluding these remarks, right? And you know, the responsibility that the feminist movement, or if you like, women, have taken as far as this particular struggle is concerned, and you know, the need to push for accountability from government. And I've been very impressed with the speed at which they have mobilized money, the extent to which they have used social media, for example, to push out, you know, some level of accountability around it. If I should go to you, Chichi, do you think we are at a point where women like that, you know, that are leading efforts like this, and they have been doing that for years, are we at a point where we must force the systems of governance, not only in Nigeria, not in Ghana, but across the African continent, to get a lot more young, vibrant, energetic women involved? Are we at that point? And what will that look like going forward?
Look, it's not whether we are at that point, it's happening. I don't think we are talking about points anymore. It's happening. And whether they like it or not, it would continue to happen. Look, what has happened this past weeks has shown that the youths are capable. This is not whether women, men, every Nigerian youth is capable, at least. The ones that I know who stood for what is right, not the ones that were paid or bribed or brought to cause any form of commotion whatsoever. Look, for the first 7 days of that protest, I have never seen nothing like it. Nigerian youth, find your phone on the ground and send it to the protest mic and say, hey, your phone is missing, come for it. They see someone trying to get into your car, they will wait in front of your car. And have you ever heard of that kind of accountability before? Never. So this is not whether we have gotten to the point, it is happening. It's about time that we, the professionals, or we, the learned, start looking at ways that means that we can go into mainstream leadership. This is not being a counselor or committee chair. No, I'm talking mainstream leadership. One of the reasons why I was a bit very, and this is solely my opinion, okay, is the reason why, okay, say this whole protest, there's really no leader. Every young person had to take accountability in order to get it to the level. Fantastic. Our point has been made. Now we have to make conscious effort, really, because I know that, yes, you saying you're the leader, target at your back. Me, I know what I went through here. I didn't lead anything. Ordinary later, why I write? They nearly kill me. So you saying that we need to get to the point where we need to get leaders, people who are going to take positions, people who are ready to risk it all for this country. Because honestly, we cannot be there. They will be doing things behind closed doors. We don't know what is happening. Meetings are happening. Committees are being shot. We are not there. No, not no more. We have to start making cautious effort to be making ourselves available in those meetings. In those gatherings. I don't even think we need a youth political party. If you stand as an independent, at least let us say you're not coerced by this one or coerced by that one. No, stand as an independent and stand for what is right. This is about time that we need to come together. We need to get the full support of people who want to get things done. Because look at Nigeria. There was no PDP and APC when Nigeria got its independence in 1960. There was none. It was Nigerians who made conscious effort to be able to get what they want. So we need to be able to do that. Women are in the forefront of leadership, not today. If you go to even our parliament, you can count the amount of women. And yet, if you look at how leadership, and if you look at how states that are really progressing, communities, organizations that are progressing, have women in the forefront. We've seen what Feminist School were able to do single-handedly. Transparency like no other. What are they afraid of? Give us the opportunity. I feel like, look, they've already seen the tip of the iceberg. This is just surface point. 2023, I repeat, it will be loud. Whether they like it or not. It's so sad that African electoral process, after 4 years, all the machine that they used to collect PVC will just die. Whether it's the ancestors that come and whip it away, it will just die. Then another new election, they'll come and start buying new one. No problem. They should better start collecting money now and start putting, because not that thing that they do 2 weeks to election, then people will start, or 1 month or 3 months election. Because no, they should start today. Let every Nigerian have the opportunity to get their PVC. And this cuts across every African country. Because when they put pressure on people to get PVC at just that possible time, they have the opportunity to rig the election. And I say it, rig the election. So give people ample time to be able to go and get their voters' ID card, because it's their fundamental human right to vote. To vote. Give us the opportunity for leadership. They keep saying the young people are lazy in Nigeria. Go to our cabinet and see. Normal, ordinary parliament passing meeting. All of them are snoring. Oh my Jesus. If you look at them, then you'll be able to understand the detriment of what's happening in our country, across the continent. If you as a young person come up, they find a way to subdue you. You do everything you want, they find a way to subdue you. Why? What are they afraid of? They should give us the opportunity and see if things will not change. They should give us the opportunity. And I encourage young people. We have diplomats, people who are learned, well-traveled, educated. Come out. If you don't die for your country, what will you die for? Last, you will still die. So you better die for something. The Nkrumahs, the Gaddafis, the Nelson Mandelas, if they were not audacious, would their name be in history books? No. You have to stand for something. Because they say if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. It is very, very, very important. We have to come out and stand. I keep saying the African election is money. So for me, where I stand right now, let us start looking for money. Feminist Co has already started. They've already started. Make una not stop for Bitcoin. Everyone, cryptocurrency, gold, anything where we go donate. Make we donate, because it has to be fire for fire in 2023. If they are giving 100 bags, we'll give 1 million bags, because this is our country. We cannot be there sitting down and be quiet anymore. It has to stop. Me, I am in this country. I have been in this country for 12 years. My High Commission doesn't know me. This is the first time they identified me as a Nigerian living in this country. That was because I had enough. I could not have sat down and watched how things is happening. I could not have sat down and watch how every day my people are being disrespected just because they have the country called Nigeria. It is over. It is about time that we have to what? Do things that we need to do. Be audacious, be unafraid. I went there, I told them my mind. The police, they nearly arrested me. I no go lie, I nearly sleep for cell. Now God save me. But hey, I made my points out. I made my points out. We need people. We need people. We need policies. We have people who went to school who know files have been quoting Constitution. Well, you should start quoting more. They should review the entire Constitution from head to toe. Reform. That reform that they are talking is not the same old people that will reform it. It is us. Millennial idea, future thinking. There's technologies, there's AI. There are different things that we can use to govern our countries. Let us get to that point. Because if we don't, posterity will judge it and every one of us. There's something I heard. They say devil, no, there's no hellfire. Oh. This one is not religion. There's no hellfire. Do you know what is hell? Repetition of all the evil things you have done. All the lives you have killed, all the hospital system that you were giving money to do that you didn't do, the road construction that you were supposed to do that you did, that people died for nothing. Every evil thing, they will face it. Well, your billion and million will not save you. Look at what happened. Look at all the palliatives from COVID. How can you be so cruel and wicked? You ask companies to donate, yet you did not share it. Look at bags of Gary turning black. Just because a human being cannot bring their point to themselves to do what is right for once. How is that even possible? How? Well, this is pure wickedness.
It is interesting you get to this point, Chichi. And I think that the call that I have seen, I was in another conversation yesterday, also, broadcast across the entire continent for the Young Africa Leadership Initiative, Mandela Washington Fellows, around governance and civil society and all of that. And I think some of these conversation points came in. And somebody queried, and I remember saying that it is strange that for some reason, when we're 18 years old, we qualify to pay taxes. In fact, some of the most innovative businesses on the African continent today are businesses driven by young people, tech savvy, and they're driving a lot of the African economy. Right? And these are sometimes very sophisticated and complex business models. But somehow, when it comes to the issue of governance, we tend to think that it is a repository of people who are 70-year-olds or who are 80-year-olds. And that's a thinking that for me has got to go away. And I think you outlined that clearly, and you have made a very fine clarion call to young people across the continent, not only in Nigeria. 2023, people have to put themselves up. I'm going to go to you, Imoh. So the fallout from this, and I know Chichi started on that, right? The fallout from this is that we hear, yes, so protesters have been on the streets, they've been causing trouble. We know now that, a lot of the trouble has been caused by government-sponsored thugs. As a result of that now, it is coming to the fore that, palliatives and donations and things that were given are not being stolen by, that's what the mainstream media is reporting. I say on this conversation, we really don't care what mainstream media talks about. What the truth is what is of importance to us. What really is happening, because we see warehouse after warehouse being looted, so to speak. Can you talk us through what exactly is happening across the states of Nigeria today regarding, the offshoot of the EndSARS protest?
I would want to term it the recovery. I would not call it looting, because these things were meant to be for the poor people. In Nigeria, we have about 200 million people. And now you say there is COVID and you tell us to go home. Then they provide food for them and you store up their food in warehouses. What do you want to use this food for? Are you keeping it to 2023 to do your election, what exactly are you keeping it for? So I'll call it the recovery, not looting. So let's just correct it. They're recovering what they were supposed to have in the first place.
Fair point. Fair point. So,
we'll call it the recovery.
Please
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Imoh. Please finish up.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll call it the recovery. What is going on now is that the thugs that were paid to disrupt this thing have now turned around to work overtime and then destroy beyond what they told them to destroy. I mean, that's what illiteracy does. How would you tell somebody who does not know something to do this thing? They'll overdo it. And that's what they've done. And now it is still my tax that I pay that these people would use in repairing all their government buildings that were touched. I mean, the private companies, the SMEs that were destroyed, who would fix that for those people? And this government will still take tax from them. They will not say, oh, you're tax-free for a whole year. No, the government will still find a way to suck up naira from you, even with the way they've messed up the naira to the dollar or any other currency. They will still look for a way to fuck out money from citizens. So what is happening now is, I call it the recovery and working overtime of the government thugs that were sent out to disrupt the peaceful protest. So that's what I'll call it, the recovery and the working overtime of the thugs that were sponsored by the government to disrupt the peaceful protest.
Thank you very much for that correction, Imoh. And I think it is apt, to put it that way. Anybody watching us don't think we are being very anarchist on this particular chat. I mean, we're free within the limits of our rights. But if you have governments at the central and local government level who have been entrusted with public funds, and I know, young Nigerians like Hamza Lawal, for example, who Follow the Money initiative, has been tracking government budget and government spending for years. He's been doing this for years. Even on COVID, he's had to write letters and mobilize ordinary young people in Nigeria, writing letters to senators and different representatives, different local government officials, just for people to account for money. It seems as though in Africa, we are interested on the input side. How much can we make available to provide public goods and services to protect people? In terms of what we actually spend the money on and where it goes, more often than not, we don't talk about it. And so I think the correction, Imoh, you put across is one that is apt. But in terms of going forward, so here we have looked at the problem. We've seen the offshoots that we teased out some of the expectations for young people, what they should be preparing for and doing, going into 2023 in the case of Nigeria. Chichi, you broadened this to include all young people on the African continent, the fact that they need to wake up. Point you make, which I think has stuck with me, and I suspect is going to stick with a lot of young people across the continent as well, is the fact that the people who are in office now, when they got into government, I mean, in the 60s, 70s, a lot of them were very young, and so it speaks to the fact that there's this energy for young people, and the idea that somehow young people cannot participate in governance, I think is a misnomer that needs to be corrected. They came in young, but because of the unaccountable systems of power, which you talked about, is the reason why they tend to clutch onto the power and not use the power in an accountable manner. If we are to move from here, going forward, this is SARS, and I'm asking this question because there's a comment that has come from one of our viewers, Kweje Jepong Entry, and he says that you cannot have a country with an overwhelmingly youthful population and leave them without opportunity for decades until they reach the point of hopelessness. And not expect a level of uncontrollable anarchy sometime in your history. The EndSARS protest, he says, is merely a trigger and symptomatic of the growing disdain majority of the youth have for their leaders and exhaustingly incompetent national institutions. These are some very graphic descriptions of, what
he is right. Look. I mean, he is 100% right to say that, because this is complete hopelessness. I mean, I look at what happened in Lagos on the 21st, and on the 20th, and I weep. I weep because really, if this is not hopelessness, what do you call it? What do you call it? For decades, they don't give us light. We were okay. We don't get water. We don't complain. They don't give us the basic amenities. See, we are not asking for too much. This is not rocket science. See, lights for Ghana. I don't stay this country for 12 years. Basic amenities. we don't have. Yet we are in the streets protesting for you not to kill us. How bad? Is that not? I don't even have the word to describe the wickedness. So
well,
honestly,
God
will bless you. God will really, really bless you, because there's no more English to categorize what is happening in Nigeria. English has finished.
Let's call it wicked hopelessness.
I'm telling you, the description is quite, it struck me, which is why I decided to take that particular comment, that, you know, the EndSARS protest is merely a trigger and a symptomatic of the growing disdain majority of the youth have for their leaders and exhaustingly incompetent national institutions. And I'm going to ask you, you know, going forward, when we talk about the national institutions and possible reform that must happen, you know, what kind of institutions are we talking about? You know, I know we broadly talk about governance and people getting into leadership, etc. But we know institutions of accountability, institutions that are supposed to save and protect human rights. We know all of these other institutions that exist within the federal government and even at the local government level for Nigeria. For some reason, if the description of, you know, the viewer has anything to go by, it suggests that these institutions haven't worked in any shape or form. For the young people who are actively getting in now, what sort of reform would you advise them to keep in mind?
Education, health, agriculture, because we need to, these are institutions that are for basic, because we don't, like Chineyenwa has said, we do not have basic amenities. I mean, we've been trying to get all these things by ourselves. We pay for our power. We still don't have constant power. So some people have to pay extra to have power for at least 20 hours a day in Nigeria. I'm sorry I'm opening our getting in public, but hey, this is what it is. We have to pay for those things. So we have people who will go into the power sector to correct it properly. We have people in the education sector to ensure that everybody gets educated, because there's some parts of Nigeria, it's not just one particular part, different parts of Nigeria where they ensure that people do not get good basic education. They make it expensive and so hard for people to get an education. They do that purposely to ensure that people are illiterate and poor, so that they can bully them to make them vote for them continuously, to continue to steal from us. So that is one sector that should be invaded by the youth when we come in. I mean, education is very, very primary. Next up would be food and health together, food and health. I mean, if you do not have money to bribe at the federal hospitals or state hospitals, you will just die. You die quickly. You die earlier than you should have died. You'd have been able to stay for some years to enjoy some things that you've worked for. But once you just step in and you're not able to bribe, that's a death sentence you signed, unless God comes down and says you're not going to die. So the health sector is one place we should focus on. And as Chichi mentioned, under education, would have to go a step further to ensure that science and technology brings in data science, crypto, AI, to ensure that some things are working faster and better. I mean, there's some people who are already educated, but we're too slow in some aspects. It would be good to introduce better technology. I mean, the fourth industrial revolution that we speak about as global shapers of the World Economic Forum. These are sectors that should be enhanced now, not for a special set of people, but should be made general. While some people are having the basic education, we have people who are furthering to know how they can better work out development in Nigeria. Chichi can help me with any other sector that she thinks.
I think you've outlined some very important sectors, and I think that not only Nigeria but elsewhere on the African continent, where you have a lot of young people who are clamoring just for the social goods to be delivered for them. These are the primary sectors they talk about: healthcare, education, and the ability to feed themselves. And so you still have a lot of governments that are not delivering at least on these fundamental things, so that the young people of these countries can start building moonshot ideas and think about, how do I build, a robot that's going to go into space, etc. They're still confined to the provision of very basic and fundamental items that elsewhere with very limited populations and limited resources, they're able to do and do better. What is interesting now, if I should use the case of COVID-19, for example, as a case, you see that when COVID broke, even in the insufficiency of resources that existed for young people, they were at the forefront. How many 70-year-olds were at the forefront of healthcare delivery? How many 70-year-olds were still finding innovative methods by which they could still deliver education to people, right? So whichever way we look at it, I think young people, Imoh, the areas you talked about, are already thinking about innovative ways by which they can contribute to it. But I think that the point you've all been making, around getting involved and seeing politics, which we have almost demonized. And I consider it as just a mechanism by which we deliver public goods and services and not the partisan APC, PDP kind, but just understanding the system by which you're governed. I think they are very, very important and useful points you have made. Chichi, I know that you have been involved in other issues as well that are closely aligned, to food production. For example, you've been on the case of sustainable development for a very long time now. As a young person who's actively involved in these areas, if tomorrow there's a nod and we say, okay, young people want to sit at the table, we've managed to get a few representatives elected in government, what are these ideas that we can put on the table quickly to sort of reverse the curse that the systems of governance we have in the last 60 years have bestowed on us?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'd like to mention that our education system has been tailor-made to set us back 20 years. 20 years. That even we as people cannot stand hand to hand with our peers in other countries, or would I say in other continents. So we need to shine our eyes. In as much as we want to talk about ideas, we want to talk about the pragmaticness of things, we need to not forget that education is the bedrock of everything. It is so sad that we live in a generation that own a phone worth more than $1,500, and the basic function of that phone is WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and that's the end. It is a shame that we live in a generation where people think that serious information, if you look at what's happening, serious conversations have been put out, ideas have been put out, but hey, comedy has taken over the important information that is supposed to be conveyed to people. So we need to get to the point where we start doing things in a very, very, very important manner. How can we do so? Let us start leveraging on existing technologies. Google, for example, Google, simple Google. So people have never set their eyes in the Nigerian Constitution before. Google it, it is there. Maybe it is the 1992 one that is there, but Google it, you will find at least some level of information. It is there. Basic technology, start from there. Start having thought-provoking conversations. That is why I agreed to be on this platform. Since after this whole thing happened, I refuse to talk to any media. I don't care what you do. I'm not coming to your show to come and sweet talk. So if you would not want me to be honest with myself, thank you very much. Okay, bye, next time. We need to have uncomfortable conversations because we are too comfortable. That is what has got us here. We feel like, okay, if there's no light, we buy a generator. If they don't give us water, we go pump water. If they don't, we go use pure water. That is why we got to where we are. We always look for alternatives. How about we facing things head on and doing the right things? Basic information you would find, even with your Facebook. Try Googling anything than your friend, searching for your friend's name on Facebook. You will see that there's so much information there. We need to learn. We need to be intentional. We need to learn laws, diplomatic, how to do things. We need to learn. Because this opportunity that we seek will not be handed to us as a plate of wache or a plate of eba. No, we would have to work for it. We would have to work for it. So we will not sit down and just keep quiet like it is normal. No, ideas are bet by people who are ready. Ideas without action, it's like pouring water inside baskets. So even if I share all the ideas today and we don't have people who are ready to take up the mantle, it's pretty baseless. We need to focus on education. Education, education, education. Because an educated one is an empowered mind. And we need to rewire our mindset. Nobody they do us now, we they do ourselves. This whole tribalistic thing, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Tree, Gan, that is where we are. We don't even love ourselves. How then do we ask others to love us if we can't love ourselves? As people, as a continent, that is where we should start from. No English, no technology will give us the solution if we don't come together as one and figure shit out. Forgive my language, figure it out.
Oh,
because
I said
really,
it's uncomfortable, but it has to be heard.
Really, we really, I can see the best gift anybody can give to me as I sit here is the gift of information. Because information can change anything. I speak to some people that are even Nigerians and I hear the words that come out of their mouth and I weep for my country. We need to rewire our mindset. The fight where they fight now for everybody. The government that is there is because of your decision not to vote. That's why they are there. I know that we don't believe it counts, but trust me, it does. We need to take decisions. We need to read. We need to learn. We need to unlearn. We need to unlearn. Everything not be fun. Nothing funny for this thing. It's not funny. I see all the comedy jokes, everything. Even during the protest, people are taking it as joke. It's not funny. It is not funny. People have died for this thing. It is not funny. So let's stop joking and start having pragmatic conversations. It's not joke. Because these jokes will not get us there. That's why they can sit there, they can fight and laugh. We all will be following them and be laughing. Go and see what our mates are doing. In Africa, it is a crime for a young man in the age of 21 to own a car. They will start asking you, what do they do? No, it's a thief. Go and see your mate, 18 years. The youngest YouTuber, all he has is a phone. Do you know how much money he's cashing out every day? Games, PS, the games where they sit down for us, they snore on top. Do you know how much money people are making from that? Unconventional things. I don't even want to go to cryptocurrency and forex trade and AI because people go confused. I'm talking about the easy ones that they do every day. Empower your mind. An unempowered mind is a dead mind. Empower your mind until we get there. No idea. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Patrick. I'm not sharing any idea. Until we get there where people need to feel like they are part of the solution. No idea will work. We need to start educating. We're talking about reform. What are we putting in place for that? The police is your friend. The police is your friend. They kill you. How do we reassure people that the police is our friends? Not all police officers are wicked. Not all police officers are brutalizing people. But the bad bees have spoiled the rest. How can we rewire that communication? All of this creativeness that Nigeria has, God damn it, the talent, the rawness of the talent of people, yes, we cannot channel it into something good. We need to wake up. Stop blaming anybody. Nobody they do you, now you they do yourself. Until we wake up and see, look at what's up, look at the whole, looting other people's stuff, people sweat. Now see, say you rich. Now people are saying it's between the rich and the poor. Hell yes, that is what they're assuming. But they don't know say to rich, you go sweat your nyash. You go sweat. Yet somebody else will come and take it because they feel you are privileged to be rich. Not be the same Nigeria with them. Didn't you have access to school? You walk into a room, two people, you walk into a room, one person decides to say hello, and the other person keep quiet. If tomorrow that person you said hello to, help you get a job, help you progress. The other person go to say a winch on a person from a village, they do one. Now you they do yourself. We need to get to that point where we have honest conversations about it. Me, I'm look, this is as real as it gets. I don't care about anything. We need to get there.
If I leave you, we're generally out of time. If I leave you, I think this is a very passionate conversation for you.
No vex.
There's no better way to sort of wrap up this 1 hour chat. I know the conversation will not end here. If you have any comments, let me see. We had a number of people who are watching and are still watching. Joined us on this conversation. Yes, the Sichichi on fire. This is a comment that is coming off of Facebook from Sylvia Senu. Sylvia, I know very well, also a development actor on the very formal side of these sorts of conversations. I think that there's no better way, Chichi, to wrap up. I think Imoh gave us a few areas that I think are very important. We really have to sort of get the youthful energies and channel them properly. I remember in 2011 when the Arab Spring occurred. It is the reason why we are the World Economic Forum's Global Shapers community today, where the plan is to try to harness the energies of young people and apply them properly. Because the assumption then is that we're going to disrupt, existing systems of governance, and almost to say that there's a way you can apply your energy for change. So let's find how that can happen. I think that that's a note on which you're closing as Chichi, which is that, yes, find value change that makes sense, but we must start disavowing ourselves. We must start reorienting ourselves and appreciate that the thinking, that somehow governance, politics, and getting involved, getting informed, understanding what is happening around you is something that is for the elderly. It's completely nonsense and a non-starter. And if a young person was watching this conversation, please, I'm not saying it. These are two vibrant young women who, you know, have been involved in activism from different fronts and have been in the thick of things, you know, against the threat of life. Imoh at a point had to almost, you know, blacklist herself just because of what governments again can do. You know, and so we have tried as much as possible to have an honest conversation about this. We know a lot of you have very personal experiences. If you're in Nigeria, if you're in Ghana, and you try to get involved in this conversation. We all have a personal way by which we, you know, we interact with this particular phenomenon. We have tried to have this conversation. I know it will not end here. And if you want to connect to Chichi and Imoh, you can do that. I know they're both very active on social media. I'm not going to give any numbers. You can find them on social media. That's the way we connect today, you know, both on Twitter and on Facebook and Instagram as well. You can reach out to them. Same names they have. And yeah, they will be willing to share any ideas. If you have any sorts of, you know, engagement that you can connect and work around, I think it would be very useful. Otherwise, this has been, you know, another edition of Uncomfortable Truths, where young people tend to have conversations about things that will fall through the cracks in mainstream media that people would typically not talk about. And it's just a platform, really. I'm not sure if social media didn't exist, we'd have the opportunity to do this. So one way we are using this to engage ourselves and also educate the rest of the people who we are able to have a conversation every other Saturday with. We try to do that. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, Chichi and Imoh,
Bye, guys. So nice to be here.
Thank you.
And it's great having both of you spend your time on this particular conversation. And I suspect we shall continue this behind the scenes.
Sure. Thank you, Patrick. Bye, Imoh. Please stay safe.
Be on fire.
All right.
I will. Okay. Stay safe too. Bye.
Bye.